What's going on, people? What's going on? First and foremost, like always, all praises be to the Most High. All praises. Second off, I appreciate y'all for watching the videos, sharing, liking, commenting. I appreciate it. This is my lovely wife right here, Tamika.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, this Pilgrims in the Earth. Of course, she got her channel. What is it called again?
Feminine, nurturing, and virtuous.
For sure. Check out that content. Yeah, man, I wanted to do a video. It's been a minute since I had her, featured on a video that I've done on this channel. My channel, of course, is me, kind of doing some things, but I wanted to be like my family on it. Of course, you can go see different things, like my wife giving birth to, home birth actually to two of our children here on the continent. Um, yeah, you can see a lot of different things. Our journey from America to Africa, a couple different times. You can see the different walks with the charity, different works and things like that. Yeah, man, she stood the test of time with me. My whole like purpose of not only just this video, but a lot of videos that I've done. I see now with the vibration of the world and the wars and everything that's happening. I see a lot of people are trying to transition and leave America and their home countries to not only come to Africa but different places. So I kind of wanted to give people encouragement by our story, because it was not always good. We had our lows, we had our highs, our lows, everything. So I kind of wanted to share those things with y'all to kind of inspire y'all to let y'all know, hey, if you got a little bit of money but a lot of faith, you can make a lot of things happen. So, we're gonna go over a couple points today and maybe some testimonies, some things we probably remember that we want to share with y'all. So, just to give y'all a little backstory, me and my wife, we've been together for a little over 10 plus years, right? Because we met, we was together for about what, a year before we had our first son, Karan. He's about to be 10 in a few months. So yeah, when I met my wife, she was into the Christian church or whatever, and I ain't got no beef with the Christian church. I always felt connected to the church, but there also was a disconnect when of trying to find truth in a church, But traditionally, I've always felt a connection. So yeah, I met my wife in the church. You know what I'm
Thank you,
saying?
Jesus.
You were trying to, get me to, join her church or whatever. And at the time, that probably was like what, it helped me at that time. But I think I was into what I was into, like working and, so she caught my attention. She was a very, uh, I would say virtuous, at that time, she was different
Trying.
from, huh?
I said I tried.
Yeah, so yeah, she caught my attention. She wasn't like a lot of women, She was into church, into going to work. I actually met her at the job we was working at. We was working at Sonic, right?
Yeah.
I was in my 20s. We was in our early 20s. So after we met, we was kicking it. Everything just kind of clicked. We was dating for months and on to about a year, and there you go, Quran. What was you thinking around that time?
Um, I would just say I was, you know, scared. Because it's my first kid. We just started really kicking it. Things like that. So, of course, you had that fear. Um, I just felt, whatever it is.
Okay, so after we had Quran, of course, I've always been a spiritual person. My wife has always too. So of course, having a child, that kind of made us even want to get in line with the Most High even more. We actually had joined a church. You know what I'm saying? We was a part of that church for about 5 years, which I did a video a couple videos ago that be going crazy about that. But yeah, man, we was a part of that church that kind of helped our marriage, because we seen a lot of good examples of people that was married in that church. It gave us a lot of influence in that church. So that's why I don't like to say all bad things about that church, but I did want to give certain necessary testimonies that we was going through. But leading up to Azariah, what year was Azariah born? I'm kidding. 2020. I know what year. I'm just joking. So November 1st, 2020. But I had to mention the church because we always talked about leaving America. Leaving America. What did you ever? Because I know joining a church that gave us a lot of influence on leaving America. But personally, I've always wanted to leave America, but I never kind of took the initiative. But what did you think about that?
You was always big on us saving money. You would always say, okay, we're going to do this with our check. We're going to put this up and we're not going to touch it because, one day we're going to have to leave.
Yeah, man. Crazy as it sounds, when I was young, I used to have a lot of like nightmares and prophetic dreams about the world and wars and things like that. So that's why being, of course, the church we was a part of was GLCC. A lot of what they were teaching at the time kind of connected with my spirit, and they helped me understand the Bible a lot better than what I knew it. My spirit connected with, revelations and things like that. So, learning that America was gonna eventually go in a direction that we see today, that connected automatically with me. So I was like, man, I always knew this. I'm like, man, we got to get up out of here. So we always tried to save, but every time we couldn't get to what we wanted to get to. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, the pressure of, oh, we got to make 50,000 or 40,000 to leave. There's no specific amount that you can say, okay, this is enough for us to leave. A lot of times you just got to be led, man, by the spirit. If you don't have no faith, you're gonna run out of money anyway. But yeah, man, being a part of that church, of course, we connected with so many people, who still family to this day. A lot of people had the same like minds where they wanted to leave and do the same thing. So yeah, we had our second son, Azariah. He's 5 now. His birthday was actually November 1st, 2020. I remember it because before Azariah was born, you had what you call a pandemic. The pandemic was something fresh and new none of us ever seen. So that was kind of like our way to say, you know what, it's time for us to get out of here. What was you thinking during the pandemic?
Oh, it was crazy.
You good? Go ahead.
It was crazy at that time. I was just like, dang, this got to be the end of the world or something, because we always talked about it. So I didn't know what it was to be exact, but I just knew, okay, this is it. So this must be what you were talking about. This is what you've been preparing us for.
Yeah, I didn't think it was the end of the world per se. I did believe that we were going to see some changes. Of course, you had talks of the mandatory shots, and mandatory shots. So I definitely was big on preparing. We used to have the food put up, the waters expiring, food expiring, and all that. So yeah, man, we try to do all that and saving and things like that. We always been big on that. But yeah, so that time kind of gave us a lot of understanding of when it do go down. You can tell who's gonna be there for you or what you're gonna have to do. How people are gonna act. Who really was rocking with us. So we kind of seen that. If a time like that happened, that we will pretty much be on our own. So that inspired us even more. We had connected with another family and decided to leave. I had got into that in the last video, how we was looking at West Africa. We was looking at Gambia, but then we started getting into Tanzania based on Magufuli. Magufuli was mandatory. He was mandatory shots or anti-shots, period. So that kind of grabbed a lot of the diaspora, attention. So a lot of us was coming to Tanzania. Go ahead.
Sorry. He tested the COVID test or the Dovid test on goat papaya and was it car oil?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so basically he was known or popular for, basically calling a shot out as false. He basically was trying, not the shot, but the test. He was basically trying to prove that, hey, y'all have an agenda to push this shot on us in Africa, and you're trying to get our numbers up by giving us these false tests. So he had tested like a goat and some, like my wife said, and it all came back positive. So he was against that whole agenda, and surprisingly so, I think him and out of like three different presidents. Magufuli, I think it was the president of Haiti at that time, and if it is it Zanzibar, I can't remember. But all those presidents just suspect, like out of nowhere, came up missing or lost their lives. So rest in peace to Magufuli. But anyway, yeah, man, we had finally saved up some money. I think we probably, and just to keep it, let's just keep it 1,000 in this video. We probably had about like $12,000. Around that time, everybody was getting their unemployment. We never got the unemployment. We was working at Amazon at that time. In fact, I remember Azariah was born during the mandatory shots time. Everybody was at home. Only essential workers was able to work. So I remember you was about to give birth. I had to speed up to the hospital, and I'm talking about the hospitals was chaotic. You had the social distance. More than one or two people couldn't enter there. With what was you thinking at that
They were
time?
saying, pretty much because your mom drove me to the hospital, and they was telling her like, do you want to go up there with her, or are we gonna wait for the father? Because if you go up there, he can't go up there. So I was just pretty much ready to have him because he was ready to come out. So I was just ready to get up out of there, really have him and go on home because there was just a lot going on in the hospitals.
Yeah. So as soon as I got in there, it was, oh, you got to hurry up. Your wife about to give birth. I had went up there, and I never liked giving birth in them hospitals. Yeah, I never liked it, especially at that time. I've always been against shots, especially for my children. We didn't do any shots for them, and it kind of puts a lot of pressure on you in those hospitals. They kind of try to bully you into certain things or try to put fear tactics on you. But yeah, so I walked up into the room. He came right out, and that was that. We were planning on leaving, so around that time, that time is kind of similar to now. That's why I'm kind of doing this video. It reminds me of like because back then was like a big exodus of people going to Tanzania, Africa, all over Africa, Asia. Yeah, so and it reminds me of that now. So I was like, man, we got to do a video to touch on this. But yeah, so we put in trying to get his passport. We had already got Quran passport, me and her passports. We were trying to get Azariah passport. So the system was so backed up,
Prime.
Yeah, he's like, man, like I think we try to expedite it and everything like that. So we had just bought our ticket, and we were supposed to leave December 14th, I believe, and we were gonna leave with another family too. And yeah, that was the date. So it was getting close to the date, and we still didn't have his passport. So we literally had to change the ticket date, and yeah, they end up coming before us. So yeah, like a week, but we end up coming after that. What was it like when when you first touched down to Africa or
It was
Tanzania?
just like everything was it was new to me. Because I never, you only see what they show on TV, but it was just new, like a new world, a new environment. So I was just amazed just seeing a whole lot of different people, the environment. You see rural areas and all of that. It was just interesting, and seeing cows and all that. Yeah, it was just like mind blowing to me. Like, wow.
And of course, people need to understand Africa got over 50 countries. I think 54 to be exact. Every country is a different experience. You can go to South Africa and be in America. it'd be even more. The infrastructure is probably even more advanced than a lot of places in America. But we went to, of course, we came to Tanzania. So Tanzania, some parts can be kind of like back in the day-ish, or modern. Not modern, but kind of ancient to us. But they do have their areas. So coming here, yeah, coming here, especially at that time, because now it's picking up very
Yeah.
fast. Because you have China kind of investing in being involved with a lot of the infrastructure. But so yeah, coming at that time, we didn't know what to expect, but from the people that was living here at that time who came before us, and it was new for them. So yeah, I remember it was hot, man. It was hot. It was very hot. One thing
Trying to
that
adjust to the weather.
the weather, the food, stomach, trying to adjust to the food. Man, one thing I'm gonna tell y'all, right? The food that we have in America is totally something. This what I knew when this when I knew something was wrong. After months, we started shedding weight. Like,
Like
well,
pregnant.
I'm fat now, but we had our son, and we gained some weight. But one thing I noticed, when every time we came to Africa, the weight that we had on us from America, it just started shedding off, even without like working out.
Yeah, I lost 30 pounds just by being here. I didn't walk, I didn't go nowhere. I was just sitting around. Of course, I just had Azariah, but I still had like a little pudge or whatever. So, yeah, just being here, I lost over 30 pounds.
Wow. Yeah, and it didn't take that long either.
Yeah, not
Probably a
long at
couple
all. A
months.
couple months.
I remember I used to just get up and walk every day. I would go to the beach. I would go to the beach and kind of just take it all in, and like, wow, we're really here. So, when we first came, because we came here a number of what? This the third time we've been here. So the first time it was like we was only here for about 3 months. Um, we didn't plan on going back, but it kind of was like we had to learn so much. When you're moving to a whole nother country and you have to go back, it's not a failure. It's that you have many things you have to learn. We had to learn the money system. We had to learn, how to make money. And that's the one thing I want to tell people. It's not really how much money you have, but how much income you're bringing in. Because if you're living on nothing but your savings, you're gonna kind of run through that. You get what I'm saying? Of course, you're not gonna live like a lot of the locals because they know how to live off less than nothing. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't have any, residual income coming in consistently, you're gonna run through that income. So we had to learn all that. You get what I'm saying? We kind of were just stuck in. We got to leave America, and I get it. I get it, especially in times like these. But that's why we here. I do want to offer my help. Check out my Gmail right here. If you have any questions about leaving, if you need help, if you want to come here, hit me up. I can help, and it's all free of charge. We don't charge people for consultation and things like that. We here to help. But let me ask you, was it hard transitioning into leaving America? Of course, we never left the country before, and then trying to move or come to another country. What do you think that was a hard process?
It was. I guess it was a little bit challenging, like far as in like the conveniences of everything. Like, you have to have patience when you come here. So having to wait, for your food, things like that, you gotta have patience. So that was one thing I had to adjust to. Um, the power, going out, them reserving the power, things like that. I had to adjust to that as well. Now I'm okay with that. I'm okay with a lot of things that I didn't, know before. Because sometimes you just don't know. You don't know there's other things you can do. When the power go out, you can just simply go outside, get some vitamin D, things like that.
Yeah, and yeah, when we first got here, they used to ration the power a lot. It's gotten a whole 1,000 times better
Yeah,
though.
a lot.
But yeah, at that time it was horrible. They used to ration the power. It will randomly just go out. So like right now, it just go out, and we're like, okay, we just sitting there looking at each other, And coming from a place like America, that was kind of like unbeknown, like that was unknown. We
Yeah.
like, okay, we don't know if we can deal with this. So you either had to have a generator at that time, or that was the only option. But yeah, man, coming from America to here was a big change. We've been in low places. We ain't never was uppity people, but coming here it was a different experience. Um, the culture, the community, they have real community here. Like I always tell y'all in the videos, they're very hands on. How you doing in your face. I mean, somebody will come up and pick up your child, like, you'd be looking like, where we from. We like, hey, what you doing? And you got to understand, like, they still have that togetherness. So
So
that's yeah. So that's normal for them. So yeah, that was a big. Another thing was the status. The whole in America, we all have like a competitiveness, and you got to keep this type of status. You got to have 10 pairs of shoes. You can't wear the same clothes. People see you in the same. It's like it's crazy, man. Here they don't really. Of course, you got different people. If middle class or whatever, they do their thing, because a lot of people do envy that type of lifestyle in the Western world. But for the most part, people here, they're not too into that, and I'm speaking for Tanzania. Like, people don't take themselves too serious. They're not gonna look at you like you walk outside. Look, he got on that. No, they don't. They don't do that. You're more so judged by your character. But that was one thing that kind of helped me grow. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't we not into trying to compete with nobody or how they look or how we look. It's not about that. But yeah, that's another thing we gotta address is I think a lot of people want to know is about visas and citizenship. Which a lot of things I can't really say on here. I want to keep it 1,000 with y'all, but I can't incriminate myself.
check
But
email.
yeah, check the email. But yeah, I can answer a lot of them questions with the email. But I do want to say, a lot of these places, what they would call third world countries, I will say this: you have to pay to play. You know what I'm saying? So legally, let's say you can get Tanzania doesn't offer dual citizenship. Like, let's say like a Ghana, where you can have your American citizenship and you can have citizenship at the same time in Ghana. But here in Tanzania specifically, there are options which I haven't seen nobody really do it, but you can denounce your American citizenship, which I don't want to do per se or personally, because there are benefits from with being from America. You even got to pay to denounce your citizenship. I think it's like 2,500. But no, you can denounce your citizenship and be a citizen here. Another option is residency. So residency, I think is you pay like a couple thousand, and you can renew it like every 2 years, and you can be a resident. That will allow you to get a bank account and things like that. Also, you can get open up business here. There's different type of visas, but like I say, you got to pay to play. If you know what I'm saying. There's ways around things here. If you pay some money, and it's not a lot of money. I'm not promoting going anywhere, doing that. But if you locked in with certain people, it's not like I'll get an example of in America, right? So in America, you can't just go to the Secretary of State with $20 to say, my license is suspended. Here's the $20. Hook me up. It don't work like that for us in America, but there probably is a class in America with white people where they can get away with certain things by paying certain money. But here in Africa, you have certain benefits, what they say corruption, but the corruption kind of works for us, or people who got money. Another example, let's say if you're driving and the police tell you, hey, pull over, you're not gonna go to jail, but they're looking at your car and trying to get like a couple dollars or something like that. Literally a couple dollars. You can just say, here, take this and go on. That's the way it works. So like that's what I mean. You got to pay to play. So in the terms of visas and things like that, you pay to play. Yeah. So and a lot of people say, well, why would I do that? We from That's the way the world is. No matter where you go. I mean, a lot of people like to come with that kind of romanticize. Oh, we coming back home. They gonna welcome you with open arms. A lot of people will do that, but guess what? You're still living in a world that's controlled by capitalism, and money makes the world go round. Yeah, you want to say something?
No, I'm just gonna say, and to a degree, you're still paying to play.
Yeah, most definitely. And it's not the type of money that you would think. It's not something that's gonna hurt your pockets, but you have to include that into your budget of when you're thinking about leaving. One thing is that's good though that y'all do have resources, that of people that have left already, so they can tell you what to do and what not to do. You get what I'm saying? So, and there's people, our people are all over. I'm talking about Mauritius, Madagascar, Ghana. We're not just in Ghana no more. We all over the continent, and we in Asia. A lot of our people over there in Thailand. So, yeah, that's on that. Another thing I wanted to mention too. It was I guess my wife probably can speak on this one because she probably had to carry the being a mother, traveling with as a family of four. Now we're a family of six, of course, but as a family of four, Azariah was how old when we first left? 1 month old.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was 1 month old, newborn. We trying to travel. At that time, tickets wasn't that expensive, but they're going up a lot, and of course it's going to go up even more. So you want to take that into account. But do you think it was difficult with traveling with a newborn, and that wasn't a big family? That was kind of like almost middle-sized family. Was it hard?
Yeah, it wasn't that hard. Of course, Azariah was like uncomfortable, certain parts of the ride, but it wasn't that challenging. I knew we wasn't going back, so shoot, we had to get through it.
Well, we did go back. I'm just talking about we did. But yeah, so we had to learn, man. We actually had to like go broke. You know what I'm saying? And that was the most scary part for me, that I never wanted to go broke in another country because I didn't know what would I do. You know what I'm saying? But I always told myself when I came here and experienced it that I would rather go broke here than in America because they have levels of lifestyles for everybody. Like if you don't have a place to live, or if you make $200 a month, then you can go find you a shack you can live, or you can find or rent a room out for $10 a month, $20 a month. It might not be up to par the way your lifestyle is used to, but there's options. Or if you can't eat, there's a video where a guy he took the bread up to the counter or the eggs, and he'll take some out and try to buy it because in Africa they'll make something affordable for everybody. So if you can't afford the whole loaf of bread, they'll take two breads out and you sell you that. Or if you can't afford the steak, they'll cut off a corner of the steak and wrap that thing up in a bag here. You know what I'm saying? So whatever you can afford, it's a life for everybody, and somewhere to live for everybody. I've never seen many people sleeping outside like in America. In America, you see homeless people everywhere, but here it's community. They work together. And I don't know what we used to see on, all the people that's starving and all. I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
You want to say something?
No, I'm just gonna say, yeah, you don't even see that. You don't see it much. Even people that may need money, things like that. You don't even see them out here like that. They get what they need and they go.
Yeah, and surprisingly, the poor and the rich coexist together. They live together. You might see a big house, a mansion looking house, and then you see a shack right next to it. That's the way it is here. In America, the rich and the poor, they don't mingle. You either over here or you over there. Yeah, it's very peaceful. That's one thing I can say. On our children love it. We able, like I show many videos of my children how they interact out here, how it's safe for them. That was the main thing. We've always homeschooled our children. So living here kind of gave us a balance of life. When our children get older, they're not gonna remember like, hey, I wasn't able to go to a high class school and with the best. No, they're gonna remember that their parents made the necessary sacrifice and compromise to be there, and we actually personally taught them ourselves.
Hands-on.
Yeah, hands-on, and then they're doing a pretty good job, by the way. So, and like I said, mentioning going broke here, we really had to, like I mentioned this in one of my last videos. I said the Most High, uh, the Most High really had to build our faith up here, right? So a lot of times when we don't have money as a people, we lose faith, we lose hope, we lose everything. So I think the Most High really had to bring us very low to understand, like, okay, we still good, we still, and build us back up. You know what I'm saying? Because honestly, we went through changes here. I never kept it a secret. We had problems with our marriage, we had drinking, things like that. We had to really, because leaving the country, we felt a whole lot of. It was a challenge. You know what I'm saying?
All of that American weight was on us.
Yeah, not able to see her, not able to see her family, me not able to see my family, friends, and there's a lot of mental changes that goes on. So we had to go through all that, and that was a big challenge in itself. But one thing I can say, once you stand strong through something and you come out of it, it makes you 10 times stronger. Yeah.
Me actually experiencing that. I never what you said to me, you said we ain't coming back. When you said we was leaving,
Mhm.
we ain't coming back. So that never left my mind. So anytime, when we had to go back, that never left my mind. I knew we was coming back.
Mhm.
Every time I knew we was coming back. So when we went broke here, it was just like, okay, I know something is going to happen. Something is going to make a way because we ain't going back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I never lost sight of that.
Yeah, so the first time I think we kind of didn't have no direction of what we were actually doing. We kind of was just
Yeah.
like, okay, we left America, now what? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so the time we had to go back after like 3 months, but let me go back. So of course y'all know my uncle, he was living here at the time. I had just met him, coincidentally, it was crazy. Yeah, we was able to see, we was able to see a lot of different regions of Tanzania, driving through mountains and seeing so many people. I was like, man, you know what? This place is vast in land, vast in resources and fresh fruits and vegetables. This is the place. If the world is gonna collapse, this is where we want to be. So that's why I call this video full circle, because you gotta, pay attention. You know what I'm saying? So the Most High, I definitely believe, was leading us here. I'm gonna get into that. But yeah, so when we had to go back due to actually not being able to access our money, that was actually the reason the first time. Um, to be strictly honest, we didn't prepare the way we should. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. We had to go back, and I think I had got a car, which I probably shouldn't have did when we went back. I had got a car, and we were straight when we went back actually, but we had planned to come right back, and we did. Maybe we stayed there for about what, 2 months,
Right.
1 month. Yeah, came back immediately. And I would say we still kind of didn't have the direction. We kind of was like, okay, we here, so we was just spending. And I don't even think we were even working online at that time. So yeah, we was idle time. We was just wasting time, spending money.
I
Kind
think
of. Go ahead.
it was almost like we were kind of figuring it out.
Mhm.
Now that we left America, what is life outside of America now? Trying to really see what, our life can be like, just figuring it out.
Yeah. Another thing you got to understand too and be prepared for is the the stereotype or the perception of you being an American. A lot of times we look at, oh no, we black like y'all. No, it's not that. They're looking at you like an American. You know, America is the world stage. So how we were looking at, people that's from the continent and all the stereotypical things, they're looking at us the same way. You know what I'm saying? So it was like a spectacle sometimes to some people when they see you from America and you talk English, they looking at you like that you get the stares. You can't be alarmed by the stares. Of course, some people are used to it because our people are traveling more now, but you're gonna get the stares. Of course, when you move into a community, like I said, their culture is very up in your face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you're gonna have people wondering, hey, what you doing here? You know what I'm saying? So I got caught up in a lot of different things. Hey brother, come hang, come chill, come hang out. My nigga, you know what I'm saying? Man, I hopped in one guy told me hop in the car. He playing Jeezy. He trying to show me that. I guess trying to prove to me or trying to impress me, might I say. So I got caught up in all that, man. I had to realize like you can't be too accessible to everybody. There's just like there's different people in America and different personalities, and it's the same thing here. But for the most part, we met some great people. But yeah, it's definitely a learning experience. And the purpose of this video is to kind of give people some encouragement. So I do want to say, everybody is not going to support you leaving the country. I think finally people are starting to realize, like, okay, I see what y'all was doing, because they see the way the economy is going. They see the wars going on. They see the direction of the school system and the education and what they teaching. So now our family and friend, they're finally like, okay, I get it. But you got to think back then, maybe 5 6 years ago, people didn't get it. They like, okay, you have family looking at you like, why are you taking your newborn out the country? You get what I'm saying? Or why are you not enrolling them into public school, public education? And you know but the way we were kind of looking at it was the way I've always looked at it. I knew that this world was changing, and it's easy for me to go get a job. We've had cars, we had cribs and all that, possessions in America. It wasn't that we fell on bad times, so we had to flee to Africa. It wasn't that. It's that I understand that system is collapsing. And what we see today, we were always trying to be 10 steps ahead. So, when you see the content on the channel with us getting land, promoting community, that's us being 10 steps ahead again, or trying to be. So, a lot of people was looking at it. Even the church that we was a part of, man, people was looking at us like we was crazy because we wasn't leaving with them. Oh, it's not time to leave. So I've always been the one to take the initiative to take a leap of faith. Always. As being young, I used to move around a lot. So yeah, it wasn't a big deal for me to kind of just say, okay, we're gonna have to actually do this, put on our bags, and be pilgrims in the earth. So yeah, I probably made her nervous. you know.
I actually, I would say for me, I really didn't desire much from America. So I've always wanted something new or different, tired of the usual lifestyle. So it was like, okay, we're going to Africa. All right, that's cool. I don't know what I'm gonna do there, but yeah, that's cool. A different environment.
Mhm. And it was a lot of changes. Coming from there to here to there. 2 3 different times. A lot of the jobs we worked together. So I think the teamwork is what made it work. Sometimes my wife couldn't work; she was pregnant, so I had to go out and make it work. She was nurturing the children. Um, Man, I remember and I talked about this. Y'all heard me talk about it. From my perspective, my wife ended up was pregnant, and we had to go back, and that's the time we were actually broke. Like, we actually had the kids in daycare because I had to go to work. My wife was pregnant, and
Yeah.
yeah, again, and I had to go to work, and the van that I had just bought, little hoopty van, it was on his last leg. I had to take out a loan to pay that back, and the man, the expenses was, I don't know how we did it. We were living in a hotel, 4 of us, and she pregnant, so it was like a stressful time, and ultimately, my wife, she lost the child, lost our baby. So, and not only did we lose the baby, it wasn't a miscarriage. She had to actually give birth to our unalive child. So what was that like? I don't want to get too deep, but
It was hard. It was challenging. I didn't expect it, but yeah, I just, you know, you go through your emotions, and eventually you give it to the Most High, because at the end of the day, he not gonna put no more on you than you can bear. That may sound cliche, but I think it's true.
Yeah, you definitely. I give it to my wife. She's a very strong woman, man. Because I kind of had to take on a financial but as far as the emotional, I went through them emotions too. But and actually, after she had the baby, she had to get to work. You know what I'm saying? Or lost the baby. We had to get to work and pay bills. It's different nowadays where you can't even take care of your whole family with one income no more. So, but I can say I never wanted that lifestyle in America. We had jobs. I've always got favor in jobs where they will offer me certain positions. Like, okay, you're very good. We want you to be this manager or a leader over this and that. And I never wanted to take it because my mindset was always leaving out of that world or separating from that world. They used to tell her like, "Why don't your husband want to? He's missing out on some money." So I
You know,
never,
dear.
yeah, we were always focused on getting back, and so this thing began to come full circle because when we came back, finally got enough money to get out that time and come back, we were more focused on charity. When you see the charity videos, I had a brother named, I don't know if you want me to put his name out there, but anyway, my brother was out in Kenya. He had an NGO going on in Kenya, and coincidentally, so he was a part of the same organization that we were of in America, but he reached out to us when we came out here through social media. So that's how we linked in and started being a part of doing a charity here in Tanzania. So we did a lot of charity events, and that was a whole nother experience in itself. Seeing children that didn't have families and things like that, we were able to feed them and do different things for them, man, and that was a wonderful thing. Even the women, cooking and things like that for them. So that's definitely a part of, if you want to call it the ministry, that you have to incorporate is giving back to people. We're very big on charity. Actually, recently, shout out to Brother Bronze and his wife, man. They reached out to us. They're very beautiful people, very charitable people. So we were able to do a donation thing. We did a recent charity thing recently, but we don't really put it on videos like we used to
Mm-hmm.
because we don't really get the donations like that. But when we do, we give it out. But anyway, yeah, man. We went through a lot of stages of just simply like you go through depression, like, dang, is this really what we supposed to be doing? You know what I'm saying? When you go broke, you don't know if you really, it's the most high with me on this one. Should I just go back and get a job? Because you deal with that too. So there's ways to make money, because I think that's one of the biggest issues for people is making a steady income. So again, hit that email if you want some kind of I can give you some links or some understanding, because working from home is one of the biggest things. And it's a lot less stressful. And it's money that can come by than going to get a job now, because America actually, the biggest thing about America, right, that have us there is it feeds us. You get what I'm saying? You can go fill out a job application and you can get a job, but that door is closing. So once that's up, what are we going to depend on? So my main thing is we're into English teaching, so that's a way that you can make money. Also, a lot of people come here and open up businesses. That's something that we're going to be getting into also. Um, man, we about to do some things here. I don't want to give too much away, but yeah, man, you got to come here and experience the culture, the environment, to kind of see where you fit in that, and you got to have a network of people that you trust. Building with people and gaining and building relationships. But you want to say something?
No, I was just gonna say, and number one thing is faith.
Faith, for sure.
You gotta have faith.
Faith.
Because without faith, you can't do nothing. Um, a lot of people go through their stages where, if their money run out,
Hmm.
they go run back because that's America. That's all they know. That's where the money is. But if you have faith, you can get through those tough times. You can go broke here and figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's not always going to be a way out. Running back to Egypt or America, because once all those jobs are going to be replaced by AI. So once that's up, where you going to go? So you're going to have to go through some tough times, and that's where building is going to come into play. Um, a lot of y'all have big families. Women, you're going to need your husbands. And I see a lot of single sisters that's carrying a lot of these families, and they trying to do it on their own. I tell people, work it out with your family, man, because you definitely gonna need each other. But if you don't have your family, then you got to do what you got to do. But my thing was, when my wife has always been my support, and I've always been my wife's support through this. When you're going through something, it's good to have somebody to go through it with. So, of course, when we start to build and we got our households in order, you got your household, so let's build something that's gonna, that we can pass down to our children. And we ain't gotta go to church. No, we are the church. You get what I'm saying? We are the church. We gotta start building these communities. And how you gonna have faith when you never being tested? You get what I'm saying? Like I went out in the last video I did, I was getting into, a lot of times we just want to stay in Egypt, but there's an activation that has to happen if you want your faith to be built. You know what I'm saying? You have to actually lead the plantation.
You
Um,
mentioned you mentioned Egypt. What was they doing when Moses was taking them out into the wilderness? They was being tested.
Being tested for sure. We want to go back to Egypt, or we want to go back to America, get a job. That door ain't gonna be open for too long. I don't like to put fear on people to want to leave, because we're not gonna get paid for this. This is information. I told her, I said we gotta kind of update people, because now it's starting to come full circle. Like, okay, what we've been doing this whole time, it makes perfect sense now, because people reaching out like, hey, we get it. Y'all was on point with it, and it ain't really us. It was the spirit of the Most High that He put on us to prepare, and kind of we had to fall to get back up, and make certain mistakes that we can warn other people about. How, hey, don't go that way, go this way. So it definitely you have the scripture where it say, "Be as he goats before the flock." It takes some people to go spy out the situation or spy out the land and kind of get bumped in the head to, be an example for others. So yeah, man, that's the main reason why I always wanted to put my testimony out there online. I never been a real open person, but this kind of gives me that opportunity to do that, so we can be a light to any other families or any other people that's trying to leave. You do have our support. I'm not going to charge you or anything like that, but yeah, man, we here. If y'all got any questions, we can do a part two. We didn't even get into most of the stuff, but did you want to say anything else?
No, I was just thinking about just my overall experience being here with us going back, coming here, just experiencing life in itself, and with us, falling, getting back up. We reading, we had to read, from Genesis to where we are now. Now you're starting to see, what Moses and them was going through. Just being here, and the culture is similar, biblically. So just seeing all that is a testimony in itself. So yeah, I'm just, happy to still be here.
Yeah, you gotta really put your mind, kind of step out your situation or the system that you're in, and think of, if them bombs was to drop, or if the world was to shut down, where would I want to be? You have to think of survival in these last days. Of course, it's not nothing new. We see the AI, we see the B system creeping in. Digital ID, all that stuff is not in 2030. That's right at our doorstep. So you really have to think about your family, and where you want to be. That was the main thing of coming here, was that, okay, yeah, the technology aspect of it is way back, but I said, you know what? that's a benefit because you ain't got to see camera on every corner, or you ain't got to worry about you know
Nobody knows every move
yeah,
that
yeah, everybody know your every move or the satellites tracing every so I'm gonna tell you, man, it's something special about about these lands in Africa. But we still learning. We still learning. It's still coming full circle for us. But to this day, we understand. Like, yeah, the Most High got us going in the right direction. We got some land. We going to go see the land probably this weekend or next week, and we gonna get some content on that and kind of brief y'all on the direction that we want to go in for that, because we gonna need roles. We gonna need some roles. People gonna have. We need some people that know how to do some things. We gonna need teachers. We gonna need builders. Sisters that can plant, sisters that's into herbals and medicines and things like that. And a lot of us, we have to leave to kind of get out of our comfortable environments. Do you not know how many marriages I've seen suffer out here? People, we don't know anything else but to serve another nation. So anything outside of that, we kind of it becomes dysfunctional at times.
yeah. So we're not serving each other. We're not serving our nation. We serving the other.
Yeah. So, and especially coming from America, we talking about Babylon, the belly of the beast. You know what I'm saying? So we exude those same traditions. You might not think you do, but you carry those same toxic behaviors. They had to tell me here a couple times, like, bro, you don't have to worry, it's okay, this. I'm like, man, I'm just so on guard with everything because you have to be like that in America in survival mode. So here you can kind of let your hair down and kind of start to heal a bit. Your body starts to heal. You start shedding weight. Your skin start clearing up. You start to get the sun. The Most High starts speaking to you. You start seeing your reflection a little bit. Dang, I don't like the way we was back there. I want different for myself. And the opportunities is much broader. I was having a conversation with a family member recently, and they was, sometimes they don't see your vision. Don't get discouraged, but they was telling me like, well, what about that? Education, or what about this and that? And I say, what opportunity would I have in America right now? You get what I'm saying? Would just keep working? Let's say a family of six, I would have to be at work at least 10 hours a day. Maybe
Oh,
six.
you go me too.
Yeah, maybe 6 days a week. My children won't see me. Maybe what, a couple hours out the day. Come home, chill with them, watch some TV, take a shower, eat, go to sleep. That will be the same routine every day. But here, I've gained so many opportunities. You run into people that's like minded like you. From the diaspora too. Hey, I'm trying to get land. Oh, I'm trying to get land too. Okay, now we got land. What you want to do? I want to build a community. Let's put these bricks together. Let's get a business. Let's do this for our people. You run into people like that, right? But in America, you're so busy. You don't have time to plan anything or strategize anything. All you know is I gotta pay my bills. Here, guess what? You pay that rent off for 6 months. Yeah, we did a video on that expenses. You know what I'm saying? We pay less than 3,000 in a whole year. So, um, you can, okay, we paid our rent off for 6 months. Okay, now let's do, so you can strategize a little bit more. And that's why I say marriage is very important, because that comes with the teamwork. Me and my wife, we're a perfect team. When I get my sleep, then she, making the money. Or when she got to get her sleep, then I'm making the money. Or we chilling with the children. And it's a point in time of the day where we shut it all off and we just do family. You get what I'm saying? And then we do our Sabbaths and all that. So, yeah, man, it's a beautiful thing. But in conclusion, on my behalf, I just want to say again, if anything y'all need, let me know. I'm actually chopping up a video right now. I'm gonna start getting into some showing people properties. If you need help with properties, I can get you. I can show you different options as far as that. Whatever budget you want to work with. Also, if you have questions about, what do I got to do to get this, or what I got to do to get that, I can, or I can link you in with the people that know that, what I'm saying? Or if you come in here, I can come get you and, all that. But just hit my email up. That's pretty much it. Did you want to say something?
Just ladies, if your husband got that feeling that he feel like he's ready or he feel like y'all ready to leave, pray, fast with your husband, with your family, and y'all make that decision together because it will work for y'all benefit.
Okay. In conclusion, man, all praises be to the Most High for another one. I thank my wife for being on here with me. You held it down. Pilgrims in the earth. We out, y'all.